Hey there. Thanks for joining us for Tales of Misadventure, a podcast all about business blunders. On this podcast, Nicole Donnelly, founder of DMG Digital, talks to entrepreneurs and learns how they turn their lemons into lemonade. DMG Digital is a content marketing agency focused on helping manufacturers attract new buyers through digital self-serve. Nicole Donnelly is a fourth-generation entrepreneur, a girl mom, and an avid traveler. Now let's head into a tale of misadventure with your host, Nicole Donnelly.
Hello, and welcome to Tales of Misadventure. I'm joined today by my guest, Simon Chou. I am so excited to have Simon on the show. He is the founder of not one, but two awesome podcasts, Marketing on Mars and Innovators podcast, and he's grown both podcasts to over 750,000 views collectively, which is incredible. And he's also the Chief Marketing Officer for BCjobs, which is Western Canada's largest job board. He's an advisor to several B2B companies and teaches them how to leverage podcasting and LinkedIn to build thought leaders. And Simon is also really passionate about connecting people and building community. He's connected 1,000 founders, tech professionals, and LinkedIn creators through communities he started. So I have been so excited to just pick your brain and learn more about how you've done it, because community-led marketing is like all the rage right now. And I think definitely is going to be what's, more and more companies that are going to be successful in the years to come are going to be the ones who are going to be really successful, are the ones who figured out how to leverage that the way that you have. So I cannot wait to talk about that. So my first question of the podcast is this is one I always ask my guests, is what is your spirit animal? If you could be an animal, any animal, what spirit animal would you be?
Wow. I mean, first of all, I don't deserve that intro. I didn't deserve that, guys. Like, that's not me. I'm just a regular guy trying to figure things out. We'll dive into it, but a lot of what happened really just happened in the last 2 years. I'm still trying to figure it out like everyone else. So, but thanks for that intro. Spirit animal. Now that I've had a little bit of time to think about it, I think I'll just be like a cat. I think I'm like a cat.
Like a house cat, like a
Like
a Siamese cat maybe, or a tabby cat,
yeah,
or
like a cat in the wild.
all right,
A
all
cat in
right.
the wild that
Okay.
someone picked up along the side of the street and then tamed them to be a house cat. Uh, and I think that because, for me, when I want to do something, I'm gonna go 100% and I'm all in. And if I don't want to do something, I don't touch it. I'm like allergic to it, like how cats are allergic to water or cucumbers or what have you. But yeah, I think that's been me, and we can talk more about that and why that's the case. And I used to think that that was a huge flaw of mine, that I couldn't focus on something that I didn't like, but it helped me focus on things that I love a lot more.
And you can
So
like,
it's been interesting to, especially the last 2 years, I've kind of realized this about myself and accepted this about myself and like kind of just dove into that and
you just like niche down really
just
hard.
accepted that part of myself. Yeah.
I love that. So what did it take for you to just realize, like, you know what? I'm just going to go all in on this. What was the catalyst for you when you decided, this is just who I am? What was there like an event, or did it just kind of happen? You just started exploring like podcasting, for example, and you're like, I like this, I'm just going to keep doing it. Like, what made you come to that like realization about yourself that you were just going to go all in like that?
Oh, I don't know if there's one thing. There's like multiple things.
Yeah.
And just like every single time I did something that I love, I just kept doing more. Like events, like running events, for example.
Yeah.
It's I ran my very first event in November, and it took a lot of time after work. Like I was doing it at night. Sometimes my friends would call me out for a beer, and I'll be like, "Sorry, I got this thing that I wanted to plan. I want to see it through." And it was just like 12 people. It was just my very first event that I ran, which was with 12 founders, and we just went to grab some happy hours. A few of them came on my podcast. So like let's grab a couple of my podcast friends and some other founder friends and let's do a founders happy hour.
Very
So I was
nice.
like spending a lot of my free time thinking about it. And some people in the beginning were like, "Oh, I think you're working too much." And a part of me was like, I didn't feel like it was work. It was just like getting friends together.
Yeah.
And I didn't know how to explain it at the time to people that I'm actually just having fun. After a while, I realized people that don't get it will never get it,
Yeah.
and then people that get it will just be there to support you. Um, and I don't know what it was. I had founders that I kind of bounced this off of. Luckily, I have some advisors that I talk to. I just felt like, am I forcing myself to be someone else? Like, no, you just be who you are. After a while, I just stopped trying to explain myself. Just do what I want. Yeah.
I love that. And tell me, how was that first event you did? What was it like? What was that experience like for you, the first one?
Yeah, it was just fun. Like I felt like it was just friends. Like I don't even like calling my happy hours events, which is why
Yeah.
if you look at my LinkedIn, I just call them happy hours. Um, yeah, because I just see them as just friends hanging out. Yeah.
And such a great thing because I think as founders, there's a lot of loneliness that comes with being a founder. I've experienced. I've been in business now for over 3 years. And I remember the thing that was most surprising for me that first period after I started my business for the first like 6 months was it was so lonely. I was surprised by that. Like I knew going into it, this is going to be hard. It's going to be, but I think I was surprised by the loneliness because it really is. It's just something being a founder, right? Like you feel this responsibility, this weight, and even people that you may have worked before with in a different capacity, you're now a business owner. I don't know what do you think it is? What is it about being a founder that's so can feel so isolating? And what is it about your community that you find kind of helps people in that space find
Oh,
connection?
that's a great question. I know exactly why it's so lonely. Because as a founder, you are just the founder. Unless there's a
Yes.
co-founder,
Yep.
then you can bounce some ideas off of the co-founder. And
Yeah.
if you want your startup and your company to do well, you have to be all in. Like your life, this is your baby.
Yes.
And you spend so much time thinking about it that
Yes.
nobody else can relate to
Yes.
to what you're doing except for potentially other founders.
Yes.
Maybe other founders that have a similar team size, have the similar challenges in the same industry, maybe same marketing budget, and you guys are all just doing everything. We're kind of like at the same life cycle. Those other founders will understand what you're doing. Aside from that, your best friends will understand you, your
Yes.
family, your cousins, even your partner that spends, your wife or girlfriend or,
Yeah.
or or whatever, they spend most of their time with you and they can't get it because no one gets it the way you get it. So
You hit the nail on the
that's the
head.
reason why I brought these founders together because I wanted other founders to just kind of learn from each other, share challenges. It's not a salesy environment. I hate selling, hard selling. I feel like if you provide value to other people and you tell your story enough, people will pick you up. People will reach out to you, and I believe in that type of selling.
Yes.
And just like you don't have to ask. If people see value, they will come to you.
I
So
love that too. It's all about relationships, not selling, right? It's like, how can I create a relationship with this person that's going to provide them value and give them help rather than,
mhm,
asking for something? Because I think as when people think of sales, they have it's like you're asking for something, you've got to give something rather than, you know. So I love that approach. I think it's just great marketing. It's just great marketing,
mhm.
great sales. It's great for building long-term relationships. And so, what do you hear from the people that are in your community? I love that. First of all, I love that it's in person. I think coming out of COVID, people are just aching for more of that kind of
Yeah.
like, in person connection. And a lot of a lot of us work remotely. I work with a lot of my uh, employees, partners remotely, and when we can get together, it's like magic. There's just
Hmm.
something about being in the room with the people that you're working with, that's really special. So tell me, like, what do you hear from the people in your community about what their experience is like and what they're getting out of it?
I can't speak for what other people um, think, because I think a lot of people are just will be polite and they'll say nice things. So I will never hear the true feelings. But I would say like the community that we have of the founders, at least, very tight knit. People hang out after the events. They have their own separate happy hours when I can't make it, and I think between 50 to 70% of our founders always come out every single month. It's a very highly engaged community. It's not like I don't have an email list of 2,000 founders and 30 come out. So that's like a 3% or like 0.3%, whatever. I'm not doing math properly, but like such a low engagement rate. Like our community, like my list, if I can even call it a list, is just my friends on WhatsApp, other founder friends on WhatsApp. And I have 50 founder friends locally. Last event we had about 35 founders come out. So that's like a 70%, 60 something percent um, engagement. I don't know,
Yeah, but I
engagement
think what's
level.
great about that is that the focus is on the quality and not the size of the community, right? And I think when you have a smaller community like that, it really allows you to get more, to get that better engagement. That's amazing. So what do you think,
Yeah,
like, what did it take for you to, like, building a community is hard. It's hard. It's not?
yeah.
Or is it?
It's really hard.
Yeah.
Really
So
hard.
tell me, like, what do you think, like, time investment, like, what did you feel like you had to do, sacrifice to be able to build this community? So it's to the point where it sounds like now the people in the community are kind of helping run it for you.
Hmm. Yeah, I think the hardest part of a community, and I think will always be hard, is curation. You gotta have the right people in the room. Because if I just said all founders of all size, whether you're 1 week in, 1 month in, 1 year in, 5 year in, 10 years in, like not everyone, like I said in the beginning of the life cycle, someone that has a team of one, like a solo founder, like a free, basically a freelancer, they're not going to understand the struggles of a founder that has a 20-person team. They have a very different struggle. That 20-person team founder is trying to figure out how to hire their middle level managers. How do you hire them and retain them and start developing leaders when you get to that 20, 30 employee team. Like those conversations and those challenges are very different when you talk to them. And I know this because I've built teams of 50 before, and I know the challenges. But I also understand the solo one or two or maybe three employees person. That is a very different challenge. Like you basically are family members with these three people, and you guys are like this. You guys are the captains and the co-captains and the janitor and the house cleaner. Like you're doing everything, right? And that's a different challenge because you need to hire people that are loyal and people that can see your vision. That's a different challenge, right? You're not looking for mid-level marketers. You're looking for people that are doers and leaders, right? That's a different challenge. And people like it's just gonna be different. You're not gonna have the same conversations, and so I had to be very careful with who I brought on. I've had to say no to a lot of founders. Like I get a lot of DMs on LinkedIn whenever I post, and they're like, "Hey, can I come?" And I look at their LinkedIn, and they're a solo founder, totally cool, but just not the right fit in the room. Most of the founders have between 5 to 20 employees, and so I want them to be able to talk about similar challenges, right? So what I did was I created a separate community just for those solo founders. I called it a young tech professionals happy hour. So I can connect those solo founders slash freelancers with other tech professionals in marketing, sales, and tech, like developers, because that's what they need. They need to poach other talent and bring them and convince them to join their team. So that is a better, group for them to be in.
I love that it's so intentional, very, very thoughtful. You know who to say no and when to say no. That's great. Um, Man, Simon.
It's hard.
Yeah. What's hard about it?
First, saying no to people, because I think one of the reasons why I'm open to doing. By the way, I do all these communities unpaid. I don't have sponsors. No one pays me to do them. The reason why I do them is because I'm genuinely very curious about people. I've been very fortunate. Like right off the bat, when I started my marketing career, I basically was hired as person number two to build out an agency, and it was like a cryptocurrency slash B2B agency, which was the best place for me to start because I worked for I grew the agency grew from something like 10, $20,000 in monthly revenue to about, I think at the peak they were doing 2.5 million. So basically grew it almost 100x. I don't know if I'm doing the math right, but going through that whole journey, I got to connect with people all over the world, different types of marketing talent. And so it was just really cool. Like I became a team builder. And for me, I had to be very intentional as well with who I bring on the team. So I really like to understand people's stories. And so that's why community for me like comes like kind of natural. Like I don't feel that's why when I told you the story in the beginning, people telling me like, why are you working on the weekends? Why are you working on the evenings? Like I don't feel like it's work. I'm just connecting with other people that I'm actually genuinely interested in, right? And I want to hear these founder stories. And so yeah.
I love that. I mean, I think that's true, like for me too, personally, is like I love to work because I'm just so passionate about it, you know? And I think that's true for so many founders. It's like it doesn't feel like work because you're building something, you
We're
know?
just building, yeah.
Building and building is fun. Oh my gosh, I gotta ask you a question though. Like you helped scale that company massively. And as someone who's really trying to scale my own business, and I think a lot of our listeners are in the same situation where they just want to grow, scaling is hard, especially an agency. A service-based business is so challenging. Like
Hardest thing.
balancing, utilization versus scope creep and like the chicken and the egg, is it time to hire yet? And knowing that magic formula is so challenging. So and just like so I would just love to hear like what do you think helped you be able to help that company scale so quickly? Because that is a huge like my little tiny micro business has grown 80% in the last year, which to me feels like
That's
sometimes I
awesome.
feel
Awesome.
like
Awesome.
the weight of the responsibility and it just happens so rapidly. Do you know what I mean? So like how did you do that and like mentally handle it all, you know? Like what would you advise there for someone who's really wanting to grow?
Yeah. I would say like the service business is really hard. Um, I was so lucky that my first role in marketing basically was I joined an agency. I think that's the best way to learn. 1 year in agency is equivalent to 3 or 4 years, depending on how hard you work. And it's like you just learn so I spent 3 years in agency. That was like 9 years of like actual work. It was a lot. And you're right, like the hardest thing about agency is like balancing. It's all talent. It's talent and sale. You need to be able to sell, right? I was very, very fortunate. The founding team, they used to work at like Microsoft and big companies like Stripe. They had really good relationships, so they were able to close deals very easily because it was just their friends that they used to work with that really trusted them.
Mm, yeah.
And so my main thing is just balancing talent. So that in itself was hard. Just making sure that you had enough contractors. We had about over 1,000 contractors on the bench at one given point. when we hit the peak, when they were doing about $24 million, $25 million per year ARR, right? Um, and so I was more focused on the talent management side. I didn't really touch the sales side too much, but I was doing client relations, a lot of client relations. So you got team building, you got client relations, and then you got sales. You need all those three to do well at the same time,
Yes.
because you can build the best team and have good client relationship, but you have no sales, it's not going to go anywhere.
Yeah.
Car's not going to move.
So true.
Or the other way around, some people are really good at sales. You're selling like crazy, right? And you get good client relationship, but then you don't know how to team build. And so you're going to close all these deals, but you can't deliver.
So true.
Or you build your team too much and your expense is like 80% of your revenue. Well, then you're kind of screwed, right? Or some people, they just focus on selling. They don't even think about client relationship, right? They sell the thing, and then whenever the client messages you, you don't respond for five days because you just don't have the team to do it, right? So like for me, my shtick in the beginning was team building and client relations,
Interesting.
right? And then I had a really good founder team. Like I saw how good they are with sales, and it was all relationships. Like to your point in the beginning, it was all about relationship building. And they just built the best. They had a really good reputation for a long period of time. They never did the wrong thing.
When they
Right? So
just like
people always
working
trust
with
them.
integrity, you would say when they always did the right thing, like they just had massive integrity. They said what they were gonna. They did what they said they were gonna do, and all of that. So
Yeah.
team building seems to be a major superpower of yours, Simon. And I know you're so modest. I'm sure you would never admit to that. But from what I'm hearing, it does seem like that is a strength, a core strength of yours. You're building a community that takes team building. What do you think it takes to build an awesome team?
I am just like very honest
Yeah.
with myself and with the team. When something is not going right, I'm the first to tell them, and like making decisions that are tough, right? Sometimes, and you've got a lot of listeners, and you yourself have experiences. You hire the best person, and they're amazing for about 5 months, and you love them, and you've gotten to because you have to invest in them, and you invested so much in them, but things are not working out for whatever the reason is. I'm already letting them know in month 3 that it's not working out. I'm not going to wait until month 5. And but when on the flip side, you have to be very fair. When people are doing really well, you need to give them love. You need to reward them to let them know that this is what happens when things go well. This is what happens when things don't go well. And I'm fair on both sides, right?
That's so good.
People need to know the vision of what you're trying to build, because a lot of the times when you're hiring, some of your best hires are probably that junior level hire, and you grow them into a mid level marketer or a senior leader. Those are the best hires, because those hires will see the value, like see that you've actually grown with them, and that you're very fair to them, and they're just going to be around forever for you, because you guys are truly a team, right? Whereas so many, I think especially in agency, I've seen this happen a lot. Just talking to other agency owners, like people think about themselves and their profit so much, and they don't think about the people in the actual team. Like they have a living that they want to, like amount of money that they want to make. They have goals. If you don't even know their goals, then that's a huge issue. I know exactly how much each of my team members want to make, because I believe in radical transparency. I tell them how much I think that they will make in a year, and I'll tell them I'll get you there. If I don't get you there, I'll find you a role that will pay you that. Like there's a few times where I knew that I couldn't get this person to his goal, and I told them, you know what, work with us for 12 months, gain experience, and then you can look for a job. I'll even help you with your resume and cover letter, and I'll give you like the best reference letter, right? Because I know that I can't take them there,
Yeah.
but I always try to my best to bring people on my team where I know that I can actually make a difference in their life, right? So it's like super transparent with everything.
I love that radical transparency. I love I love what you said about bringing people in junior because they're so hungry. They're so hungry and they want to grow. And if you treat them well, they'll be so loyal. Like if you treat them well and reward them, and they're building it with you, so they feel invested in what it's like they're part of it. And you're right, there is something really special about that first growing starting part of a business. I remember I interviewed someone on the podcast and I asked him, I was like, what advice would you give to someone who's just starting out? And you know what he said? He said, enjoy it because those first days are so fun. Like, it's just like the best. So just like live it up. The highs, the lows, and all of that. Like the first phase of starting a business, he was just like, just enjoy that phase. And it's great. It's right. It's true when you find the right people, and when it's small, they have to be. They have to be the right people. You know pretty quickly if they're not.
Yeah.
So yeah, wow, that's such great.
But like even as you continue to grow, I think where companies fail as they're growing is they think they don't have to be so strict with every single hire. Like for me with the agency, every single contractor mattered.
Yeah.
It's not like, oh, just the first five mattered. And after five, just hire whoever I want. No, like every single hire matters. And that's how the agency was able to grow from, you know, 10,000, $20,000 per month to 2.5 million
Yeah.
per month in revenue. Every single hire matters because especially in agency, you don't have inventory,
Yeah.
you don't have like products. Your product is your people.
Your product is your people.
Like if you don't have good people, you don't have a company. You don't have good company, right? So that's
So true.
and I was very fortunate. I had a mentor. Um, he grew one of the largest product agencies in Vancouver. He's been in the business for 25 years. Like he's a legend in this space. His company does about over $100 million per year in revenue. He came on to my podcast as well, which is why I love podcasting and I love giving back
Thank you.
and going to other people's podcasts as well because I built the best relationships via the podcast, and then it turned into communities. Never thought I was a community guy. I never would have imagined. I never was part of a community before. I always like to do everything on my own, right? Like most founders, because it's so lonely. And so I just embraced the loneliness for years, right? And I'm just like, once I started connecting with other podcasters or my guests and did a couple of happy hours, I truly did feel happy, right? I actually did feel happy. I'm like, wow, I can actually talk about these things with someone and people understand. Whereas before, I would always just tell my friends, and they're all doing something different, right? Some are in like nursing, some are in like in the dentistry field, and I love them with all my heart. We just can't talk about the deep things about building a business like other founders.
And when you're a founder, that's what you want to be talking about, man. And sometimes, like when
Right?
I'm with my friends and family, it's just like all I want to do is think and talk about the business. You know, it's so hard to turn it off, and they don't get it. They don't really care like you care. You know, so I totally get what you're saying. Like I love and appreciate. Like I love my LinkedIn community, and I
Oh,
have
you have
these
a
core.
LinkedIn community?
Well, not like a real, just like just people in LinkedIn. I don't have my own community yet, but
Okay,
someday.
we should talk.
Yeah,
'Cause I
yeah.
have
I would love.
I have a LinkedIn. I think you saw. So I have a group of LinkedIn creator friends that they create very regularly, and we meet on the last Tuesday of every month. We're all from different parts of the world, and we're just going to talk about our struggles. I love talking about struggles because like you get to be vulnerable and you're actually sharing things that are happening in your business rather than just gloating and talking about all the rainbows and butterflies that are happening. Like what can we learn from that? Maybe we can learn some from that, but it's the challenges that where we learn the most.
So, since we're talking about struggles, what are you struggling with right now, Simon?
What am I struggling with? I'm struggling because my friends are outside by the
Pool.
pool and I'm inside.
You're stuck talking to me.
No, I'm just kidding.
Don't worry, you're gonna hit the pool soon. Come on, this is way more fun
Yeah.
than being in the
This is
pool
This is way more
in
fun. Screw the
Cancun,
pool.
right?
This is where it's at. Like, this is what I
I
live
gotta
for.
say though, I am like so honored that you would spend time on your vacation talking to me. Like, to me, like that just shows me how committed you are to building relationships with people. So I just
Yeah.
really appreciate that.
But like there is no vacation as a founder.
It's
It's always on.
it's always on.
You
It's
know,
on at
it's always
night,
gonna be
when you go to
fires.
bed, when you wake up in the morning. It's no matter where
In the
you are in the
morning.
world, you know?
Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Yeah. I haven't taken a real vacation in probably like 2 years.
But you know, what is a real vacation? Because in my opinion, like if you love what you do, it's just integration. You know, like I've talked to people on the podcast before and said, you know, what's your ideal day? You know what they all tell me? Oh, I'm going to be on the beach, catching up a little bit on work and da da da. And then I get to spend some time at the beach. It's like integration. It's like you're doing what you
It's
love
integrated,
in a
yeah.
place that you love. And, you know, that's a beautiful thing. Like, you know, so I think if you're doing that and that's what you want to be doing, that's a
I
vacation.
I love this.
Yeah.
This is
This is
great.
great.
I
I don't want anyone listening to this podcast to feel bad for me. Like, but I'm here talking to Nicole. Hopefully, I wish you guys can see what I see.
Nicole, you saw
I
it
saw
earlier,
it.
like,
It is like turquoise
it was
gold.
amazing.
It's beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm
to
sorry
your
you're
question-
struggling with not being able to, at the pool. But what else are you struggling with?
Yeah, okay. All right. No more joking around. Okay. The real struggles right now. Our biggest struggle right now is I'm trying to decide whether to continue to do communities like I'm doing, because it's getting larger.
Yeah.
Like my founder stuff started with just 12 founders, and it grew to 20, 25, 30. Our last event 2 weeks ago, 35 founders came out. It's getting large and harder to manage, and I don't get paid for it. So I'm trying to decide, and I've had people reach out potentially to sponsor, and I need to push back.
Like
If I'm
gonna
gonna take any sponsorship monies to help out, I need to do it my way.
Yeah.
Because my events, the reason why they work is because I focus on the people in the room. There's no guest panel. You don't have to listen to some people talk for like an hour. We can do that right now. Like we
Yeah.
can go on YouTube and we can listen to any podcast and we can listen to the top speaker speak for an hour. We can pause it, go make a sandwich,
use the
use the washer or whatever,
come
come
back,
back and we can like play. But when you go to an event, you're taking your time out of your day, you're driving into downtown, you're parking your car, you're paying money. Potentially you have to pay for a babysitter. Sit down, you want to connect with everyone in the room, and you're stuck listening to a panel for an hour.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I'm not a huge fan of that. So if I were to do anything with sponsorships, it would have to be like, I might have to incorporate my hot sauce into that somehow. Keep it fun, keep it light. So that's my biggest challenge is like, as it grows, there's always going to be challenges like growing pains. And right now it's like the size. We just recently did an event, and I posted about it a few days ago. We had about 110 people in a room, just just people in HR, recruitment, and tech. We did a panel, so I had to balance that out, and I brought like a K-pop dance crew
That came
right
right
after
after
the
the
panel
to balance
out
out
the vibe.
so it's
It was not
too
too
serious.
serious.
Fun
Right away.
Um,
So yeah, like that's my biggest challenge is like thinking about how to manage the events with the communities.
I love what you're doing though, because even when I was watching your podcast episodes with your hot sauces, you do bring this element of just fun to what you do, Simon. And people are we are looking for that. Founders are looking for that. They want to have fun while they're working. They want to be able to do that. So that K-pop, that sounds amazing. Oh,
Yeah.
man.
We spend 60, some of us, especially founders, we're spending 60, to your point, maybe even 70% of our waking days thinking about work. or working?
Oh, it's
Why
for
can't we have fun?
90%. Like even when
Maybe
you like
90%.
seriously, if you're
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
working, you're thinking about it, right?
You're thinking about it.
You wake up
Exactly.
in the middle of the night thinking about it. It's for sure.
Exactly. And then you go out to these events because you want to grow, you want to meet other founders, and then it's all so serious sometimes. And it's just like, why is it so serious?
Like
Like
this
this
is
is
this is
this
our
is our
livelihood.
livelihood.
We
Like
do
we
this
do
for a
this for a
living.
living. We're thinking about it all the time. Like work is life for us. Why can't we do it fun? Why serious work versus fun work? If you had to choose one, what would you do, right?
Oh, so
And I
And I
true.
think
think um, the light bulb moment for me, obviously the podcast, like you mentioned, taking shots of hot sauce, realizing that we've had companies like CMO Stack Overflow came on our show.
Hmm.
That's a $2 billion company. He took hot sauce shots with me on a podcast. We're getting another company that's going to come on the show. Not going to release it yet, but they do $600 million in revenue, and we're going to be doing hot sauce
and
shots, and
she's
she's
so
so
excited
excited
about it.
about it.
Hmm.
I think after doing this podcast and obviously living through COVID made me realize that I think the world is just we're not we're not so serious anymore. We spent 2 years during COVID locked in. We were working in our pajamas or sometimes not wearing pajamas. And life was fine. We were still
We
professional.
were
We were
still
still
able to
able to
grow.
grow and maintain and keep the team and everything. We don't have to put this like facade of like corporate, very formal kind of thing. I think people just want to have fun.
And people
I
are
believe.
just they want the authenticity and the and just the like I just think people are looking for that, like it's one of our values at our company is fun is one of our values. When we
Oh yeah.
work
Oh
with
yeah.
you, it's going to be we're going to have a fun time together. Like, and I think our clients really appreciate that. Like we come and there's a lot of energy and laughter and it just doesn't, and I just think we're craving that kind of experience wherever we go. So I love that you're building that. Um,
Do you do a lot with community and like events and stuff?
Not yet. No, no. So we are just starting. We're actually in the brainstorming phase of actually creating a community for our customers where they can come once a month and we do like a kind of like a informal Q&A where they can all come and meet each other. We work with a lot of solo
Hmm.
marketers. So we're just
No,
starting to
solo
test that out.
marketers.
We've been talking about it. See, is this something you'd be interested in come to? Of course, they're all like, yeah, I want to come. And of course, they want
Hmm.
it to be informal, right? Like they're like, we don't want to come here spiel. We just want to come and I just want to talk to other people, like so, like in their similar shoes. So we're starting to kind of like test the waters with that, just like with our clients. Um, but it is something I think as a marketer that any business needs to be thinking about is how you can leverage the community of your customers and have them sell for you by creating this really awesome experience. So I haven't figured out how to do it. I know that it's important and it's the future, but I haven't gotten there yet like you have, Simon.
I think as long as like yeah, like you to your point, as long as you keep it fun, it's fine. You'll do fine. Like look at a very good example here. You remember the news, watching the news and all that? Like that's probably the most formal, still in suits and everything. I can't remember the last time I watched news, watched the news.
Yeah, I can't either.
I don't know who watches the news, but I'll watch like Instagram short updating me about all world events. Like I'll watch that because it has nice animations and it's fast paced and it's not really super formal. Like I'll do that. I don't know, or I'll listen to a podcast. I listen to podcasts that are like really fun, and I'll do that. Like I'm a huge consumer of podcasts
What
Because I want to
because I
podcasts
want
are
to
you
learn.
learn.
listening to?
Well, now I have to add your podcast onto the list. That's for sure. Um, I want to know what everyone's spirit animal is. That's a good first question. I listen to All In podcast.
All in. Okay, I'm gonna make a
Yeah,
note of
I
that
listen to
one.
listen to
that.
that. Uh,
My
My
first
First
million.
Million.
Oh,
My
I've
First
heard
Million.
about
My
that.
First Million.
I've heard
Yeah,
of that one.
yeah. So I listen to that. I get a lot of inspiration from them because they're just like friends talking, super casual, they'll swear on the podcast and everything. Um, and then obviously hot ones, the spicy chicken wing challenge. So I love that. That inspired me a lot, obviously. Just whatever I watch, I just like watching people that are super authentic
Yeah.
and like just unapologetically themselves.
They don't
They don't
have
have
to
to
be
be
someone.
someone else on camera. And so that's why it's so consistent. It's always them. They always show up. And even when they go, like even if when you meet them in person, it's the same person,
Yeah.
right? So I love that.
Very cool. So man, I just want to keep talking to you. You're so fun.
We can
We
talk
can talk
forever.
forever.
Don't go to the pool. Just keep talking to me. So what do you do? Like, so one of the other questions I have is just like mental fitness. Because I think, of course, along with the loneliness, there is a lot, like, it's a, I'm not going to, entrepreneurship is a roller coaster. It is totally a mindset game.
Crazy.
Like if you want to build resilience and you want to like build a healthy headspace, be an entrepreneur, because I swear it challenges you to just like really cultivate a healthy internal self-talk, right? Because you're constantly doubting yourself. There's so much
Always.
uncertainty. You don't know what you're doing half the time. People are looking to you, like just being real. Like yesterday I was honest with my team. I was like, guys, I'm having a little bit of imposter syndrome today, and they appreciated that I said that. They were like, they were totally there for it. And, some people would be like, you should never share that with your team. But I'm like, you know what? Whatever. That's who I am. I don't know. But what do you do for like mental fitness? What do you do to like cultivate a really healthier, not healthy, but like healthier mindset way of approaching the challenges that come with running a podcast and running a business? Besides going to Cancun and going to the beach.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's nice. Yeah, that's nice. I think yeah, I travel 2 3 times a year.
Nice.
Um, kind of gives me something to look forward to.
Yeah.
And usually when I travel, I usually stay at a place for 2 3 months at a time as well.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm actually living there.
So
that-
you're in
That
that
really,
Cancun
really
for a
motivates
while.
me. This time I'm only going to be here for a week, but last year I was in Mexico for 3 months. Um, that keeps me kind of motivated, like something to look forward to.
Mm-hmm.
And then back to what you were saying, I think just being super open, like radical transparency. I share so much with my team.
Yeah.
Uh, Things that they probably like some other people listening to it, they'll be like, "Wow, you share that with your team?
Yeah,
Wow,
give me an
wow."
example.
Um, we last week or 2 weeks ago, um, I wanted my team to uh, experience what it's like to interview on the podcast.
So
So I flipped the switch, the script a little bit. So they asked me tough questions, and if I can't answer, I gotta take a shot of hot sauce. Whereas on my show, I'm asking my guests, right? So I made it so that they can interview me. We recorded it, and I think we're probably gonna post something on TikTok. Um, what question did they ask me? They asked me like really tough questions. Uh, they asked me like my most embarrassing story.
Uh-huh.
Um, and I told them a few that were pretty embarrassing, which I don't know if I'll tell here on this podcast.
That's okay. You
But
don't have to. But yeah. But that's
But,
cool that you don't like I love that you're saying there like one of the things that you do for mental fitness is just be transparent, be self-aware. Don't like
Yeah.
Yeah.
push down the feelings that you're having and embrace them and accept whatever it is that you're feeling and let it be what it is instead of feeling like you need to feel a different way.
so last 3 weeks ago, I did my founders happy hour.
Yeah.
35 founders came out. It was huge, and we posted something. We had like 12,000 impressions on that post on LinkedIn. Over 100 something likes, I think 112 or something, or I think it's still going. 90 something comments. Um, and then I woke up. My team right away was like, that was such an amazing post. That was like one of our best posts. And then I just stopped them. I'm like, I feel like I'm an imposter.
Like
I don't think I deserve this.
I
I
just
just
started these.
started these events literally just 5 months ago. So I told my team, I actually sat my team down very seriously, and I'm like, if we are gonna post, let's not boast about it
Yeah.
Because
because
we're
we're
not.
not who we think we are.
We're
Yes.
We're
just.
just 5 months in. My team was so excited about it, but I told them don't do that. Like that's
I
We're
love
we're
that
doing this
doing
for
this
unity.
for
other
other
people.
people.
Hmm.
I'm really glad that people can come together, but we're still trying to figure this out. Like if someone hires me today and says, "Can you run events for me?" I'm like, I can do it based on my experience, but I'm not the expert that you think I am. I'm still figuring it out. And I think that's what I like that's what I tell my team all the time. It's just yeah, I don't we're all still trying to figure it out.
Just massive humility. And I
Yeah.
think
Yeah.
that your team really resonate. Like when you're humble in that way and you can admit maybe that you don't have it figured out and you tell your team, look, I'm not sure or I don't know. I haven't figured it out. It just builds it builds connection with them. And I find that they just want to follow you even more rather than if you just come across like you've got it all figured out and you know the way, you know. That's,
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. But I feel like I do that because I want my team to be honest with me too.
yeah.
Like one of my team members had a really tough year last year. There's like a death in her circle. She took it really rough. And I said, just take your time off. It's like you don't cancel all the team meetings. You don't have to come to our team meetings. Go on vacation or whatever. Take your time off. We'll find a way. We'll find a way to get things done, right? Uh, so yeah, like I just think being honest is just such a good practice in life. Like if you had a choice between being honest and not, like why not just be honest? Things will always come back. I believe in karma. If you're just gonna if you're gonna be if you're gonna be lying, if you're gonna be unethical, it's gonna come back to you, right? So I don't know. I think just live honestly.
Love that. Live honestly. Drop the mic. Live honestly.
Throw this
Throw this
mic
mic
into the.
into the pool.
Well, I know you have a pool to get to, so I don't want to take up, but I do have two more questions for you. Okay, the next one is you've grown your podcast like it's pretty remarkable how quickly you've grown your podcast. What would you advise to people? And I know your massive humility is I like totally appreciate, but like maybe from your experience, what would you advise to anyone out there who's looking to build a podcast or market their business even today? Like what would be your marketing advice on what's worked for you?
Be really active in the community. If you don't have time to start a community, because it does take
Time.
time,
Yeah.
And it's
and
gonna
it's gonna
take your
take your
evenings
evenings
and your
and your
weekends.
weekends. If you don't feel like you want to invest in that, and you don't have, you know, it's totally understandable. Join the community. Be very active. I started being very active last uh, November, October-ish, and I've seen the biggest change.
It's
It's
been
been
amazing.
amazing for my personal LinkedIn page, for the podcast, because they kind of work hand in hand, kind
Yeah.
of, right? I am the podcast is me, kind of. And now I added one additional piece to the pie, which is community. Now the community is my podcast and me. It's like a little triangle that kind of builds on each other. Community, just keep telling the story. It took me 40 episodes, no, maybe like 60 episodes of podcasting to be able to really sell myself well. Like I was really bad, really bad. Um, the first 30 episodes of my new show, there was not a company larger than $20 million in revenue that would come on the show, and so many rejections. I think it was like probably 2 out of 10 companies would say yes from our outreach. Now we're getting 8 out of 10 companies say yes, and also companies referring other companies to our show, and bigger companies coming on the show. And it's all because of community.
So when
Like,
you say
I don't
community,
know.
is it because you had created a separate community for all your podcast guests to come to? This is your events, right? Or were you like engaging
Yeah.
in between shows to continue to build those relationships, like through LinkedIn or whatever the case may be? Both?
Both. Yeah, I was doing both.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have and I have a list of people that I really want to connect with.
Yep.
And rather than asking them for help or for their time, instead, I just supported what they're doing. Every single week, I went on their page and I just supported everything that they do. A like, a comment here. Even if they never give anything back to me, I just want to give them some love and I want to help them grow, right? Now my LinkedIn is a little stronger, so I have a lot more power to influence. And I still do the same thing. I haven't changed that philosophy because why change what has made me who I am now,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
There's no point changing now. So yeah, just community and just keep giving
I
to
love
other
it.
people, and things will come back to you tenfold.
I think we need to end on that. That's like the
Now-
best.
Now I'll drop the mic.
Now we drop the mic. Community and giving, and it'll come back to you tenfold. I couldn't agree with that enough. That is like such a way to end our podcast today and our conversation. And I just think it's pretty amazing to see. I just appreciate your transparency and your authenticity. It really comes through. And I can see just from this conversation how you've been able to successfully build a team, because just from talking to you, you can tell that people will trust you because you just are someone who truly cares about the people that you connect with and that you really want to help them. And that really, that really helps people
Appreciate it.
Appreciate
feel
it.
connected. So, yeah, I mean, you cared enough to come on my show while you're at the beach. So, thank you. But yeah, I mean,
Awesome.
this has been such
You're
a
a
pleasure.
Fantastic interviewer. So
Oh, thank you. Well, I'm learning. This is episode 11. So,
ooh, wow, you're gonna be fantastic. Once you get to 50,
really. Oh,
over 50, it's gonna be crazy.
oh, thank you. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate that. But you know what? I would love to get your feedback. Like, as someone who's been doing that, like, I really enjoy doing this podcasting a lot. I just, like, this conversation has been so, like, I've learned so much from you. It's been super fun. I'd love to stay connected with you and be part of your LinkedIn community.
Let's
Like,
do it.
that would be super awesome.
Yeah, I'll send you an email.
That'd be
Invite,
cool.
and
Yeah.
you can come out to the LinkedIn. I think it would be great to have you there.
Tales of Misadventure is produced, edited, and moderated by Julie Basello with Basello Media. Music by Marcus Way. Special thanks to our amazing guests and the entire DMG Digital team. Visit us at dmgdigital.io to get access to all our podcast interviews and other helpful resources. And if you'd like to get updates on the latest and greatest, please sign up for our email newsletter. We'll see you next time for another episode of Tales of Misadventure. Until then, keep falling forward.